If getting rich came from just having a job, then every educated person would already be flying in a private jet, right? Think about it for a second. So what do billionaires do differently? And I'm not asking that to sound preachy or superior. I'm genuinely asking because most of us were raised the same way. We were told the same story. Go to school, study hard, get good grades, get a degree, find a stable job, work your way up, and eventually you'll be successful. That's the blueprint we were handed. And look, I'm not saying education doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But here's the uncomfortable truth we don't really talk about. If education and a job were the only ingredients for wealth, then every doctor, every engineer, every lawyer, every MBA graduate would be a billionaire by now. But they're not. Most of them are doing well, sure. They have comfortable lives. But wealthy? Like private jet wealthy? No. So something's missing from the equation. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Not to make you feel bad about where you are, not to insult anyone's choices, but to maybe, just maybe, shift the way you see things. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that shift, that's where everything changes. Let me ask you something. When you were growing up, what were you told success looked like? I bet it looked something like this: a nice house, a decent car, a stable paycheck, maybe a vacation once a year. Security, respect in your community. That's what we were programmed to chase. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good life, a safe life. But here's the thing. Billionaires weren't chasing safety. They were chasing something completely different. They were chasing freedom, control, impact, legacy. And that requires a totally different mindset. See, most people are playing checkers. Billionaires are playing chess. Same board, different game. Let me explain. When you have a job, no matter how good that job is, you're trading time for money. You work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours. You work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours. It's a direct exchange. And that's fine. That's how most of the world operates. But think about it. There are only so many hours in a day. Only so many hours you can work. So your income is capped. It has a ceiling. You can't earn more unless you work more, and eventually you run out of time. Billionaires figured this out early. They realized that trading time for money is a losing game in the long run. So instead, they started trading ideas, systems, and leverage for money. They built things that could work without them: businesses, investments, brands, systems that generate income while they sleep. That's the difference. It's not that they're smarter than you. It's not that they were born special. It's that they saw the game differently. And here's where it gets interesting. Most of us were never taught to think like that. We were taught to find a good employer, not to become one. We were taught to be valuable employees, not to create value ourselves. We were taught to seek security, not to take risks. And listen, I get it. Security feels good. It feels safe. And for a long time, it was enough. But the world has changed. The rules have changed. A job used to be a guarantee. Now, it's just temporary stability. Companies downsize, industries shift, technology takes over. Nothing is truly secure anymore. So the question becomes, if security isn't guaranteed anyway, why not bet on yourself? Why not build something that you control? Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I don't have a billion-dollar idea. I don't have resources. I don't have connections. And maybe that's true. But neither did most billionaires when they started. Elon Musk didn't come from billions. He came from a middle-class family in South Africa. He taught himself to code as a kid. He sold his first company for a few million, then reinvested everything into his next idea. And the next, and the next. He failed. Multiple times. Tesla almost went bankrupt. SpaceX nearly collapsed. But he kept going. Not because he had all the answers, but because he believed in the vision more than he feared failure. That's the difference. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard, not because he was failing, but because he saw an opportunity that was bigger than a degree. He saw the personal computer revolution happening, and he didn't want to wait 4 years to be part of it. He took the risk. And yeah, it worked out. But it could have gone the other way. He knew that. But he believed in himself more than he believed in the safety of a traditional path. You see, most of us are waiting for permission, waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect plan. Billionaires don't wait. They move, they test, they adjust. They don't need to have it all figured out. They just need to start. And that's the uncomfortable part, isn't it? Because starting means risking failure. It means people might judge you. It means you might lose money, time, energy, and still not succeed. But here's what nobody tells you. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every billionaire has failed, every single one, but they didn't let failure define them. They let it teach them. And that's a mindset shift most people never make. Most people fail once and think, see, I knew I wasn't good enough. They take it personally. They internalize it. Billionaires fail and think, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn? What can I do differently next time? Same failure, completely different response. And that response, that's what separates them. Let me tell you something else. Billionaires don't think in terms of jobs. They think in terms of problems. What problem can I solve? What pain point exists in the market? What do people need that they don't have yet? And then they build the solution. That's how wealth is created, not by climbing a corporate ladder, but by creating value that didn't exist before. Think about it. Amazon didn't exist 30 years ago. Now it's part of daily life for millions of people. Jeff Bezos saw a problem. People wanted convenience, variety, and speed when shopping. He built the system to solve that. Facebook didn't exist 20 years ago. Mark Zuckerberg saw that people wanted to connect online in a new way. He built the platform. These weren't people with perfect resumes. They were people with vision. And more importantly, they had the courage to act on that vision. Now, I'm not saying you need to build the next Amazon or Facebook, but I am saying this. You have something valuable inside you, an idea, a skill, a perspective, something that could help people. And the only thing stopping you from turning that into wealth is you. Not your education, not your background, not your circumstances. You. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. We love to blame external factors, the economy, the system, our parents, our lack of opportunities. And sure, some of that plays a role. I'm not denying that. But at the end of the day, billionaires came from all kinds of backgrounds. Some had advantages, some didn't. Some had supportive families, some were on their own. The common thread, they believed they could do it, and they acted on that belief. That's it. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's mindset plus action. And that's the part that's in your control. You can't control where you were born. You can't control the economy. You can't control what opportunities come your way. But you can control what you believe about yourself, and you can control what you do with that belief. Most people underestimate themselves. They think, I'm just, and then they fill in the blank. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a designer. I'm just a student. Billionaires never think like that. They think, I'm someone who can figure this out. I'm someone who can learn. I'm someone who can create. And that belief, that's the foundation everything else is built on. Because when you believe you can, you start looking for ways to make it happen. You start noticing opportunities. You start taking small steps. And those small steps, they compound. One small risk leads to a lesson. That lesson leads to a better decision. That decision leads to a result. That result builds confidence, and confidence leads to bigger risks. It's a cycle, but it starts with belief. Now, let's talk about something most people don't want to admit. We're scared. Scared of failing. Scared of what people will think. Scared of losing what little security we have. And that fear, it keeps us stuck. We stay in jobs we hate because at least it's predictable. We don't start that business because what if it doesn't work? We don't invest in ourselves because what if we waste the money? Fear disguised as practicality. And I'm not judging. I've been there. We've all been there. But billionaires feel that fear too. They're human. They doubt themselves, they worry. The difference, they don't let fear make the decision. They feel the fear, and they move anyway. Because they know that staying comfortable is actually the bigger risk. Think about it. If you stay in the same place for 10 years, where will you be? Probably in the same place. Maybe a little older, a little more tired, but not much further ahead. But if you take a risk, if you try something new, even if it fails, you'll learn something. You'll grow. You'll be different. And that growth, that's the real wealth. Money is just a byproduct. The real wealth is becoming the kind of person who can create opportunities, who can solve problems, who can adapt. That's what billionaires understand. They invest in themselves first, not in things, not in status, in skills, in knowledge, in mindset. And once they have that foundation, everything else follows. So let me ask you, what are you investing in? Are you investing in your growth, or are you just coasting? Are you learning new skills, challenging yourself, pushing your limits? Or are you just doing the same thing every day, hoping it'll somehow lead to a different result? Because that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. If you want a different life, you have to do something different. And I know that sounds obvious, but most people don't actually do it. They complain about their situation, but they don't change their habits. They want more money, but they don't learn about business or investing. They want freedom, but they don't take any risks. They want the result without the process. And it doesn't work like that. Billionaires get this. They embrace the process. They know that success isn't an event. It's a series of decisions made consistently over time. It's choosing to read instead of scroll. It's choosing to build instead of consume. It's choosing to invest instead of spend. Small choices repeated daily. That's how empires are built. Not overnight, not with one lucky break, but with discipline, focus, and belief. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to start. Start small. Start messy. Start scared. But start. Because the biggest regret isn't failure. It's never trying. It's looking back 10 years from now and thinking, what if I had started that project? What if I had taken that course? What if I had believed in myself a little more? Don't let that be your story. You're capable of so much more than you think. And I'm not saying that to flatter you. I'm saying it because it's true. You have ideas. You have talents. You have something to offer. The world needs what you have, but you have to be brave enough to share it. And yes, some people won't get it. Some will criticize. Some will doubt. Let them. Billionaires didn't get where they are by seeking approval. They got there by trusting their vision even when nobody else did. You have to be willing to stand alone sometimes, to be misunderstood, to be doubted. Because on the other side of that doubt is freedom. Freedom to live life on your terms, to wake up excited, to build something meaningful. Isn't that worth the risk? I think it is. And I think deep down, you know it too. You know you're meant for more than just clocking in and clocking out. You know there's a bigger game to play. So play it. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now. Start where you are, with what you have. Learn, build, fail, adjust, grow. That's the path. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And you don't have to become a billionaire to win. You just have to become the best version of yourself. Someone who takes ownership, who solves problems, who creates value. Do that, and the money will follow. Because wealth isn't just about the zeros in your bank account. It's about the freedom to choose, the power to impact, the ability to live without limits. And that's available to you. Not someday, not when you're ready, now. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can do today to move closer to that vision? One small step, one decision. What is it? And then do it. Don't overthink it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Just do it. Because that's what billionaires do differently. They don't just think, they act. They don't just dream, they build. And you can too. You really can. So go ahead. Take that first step. your future self will thank you.